Our story really begins in Kirtland, Ohio. Heber C Kimball, who was one of the early 12 apostles, went to the home of Parley and Thankful Pratt, and there he gave a blessing which indicated that Parley's mission to Canada would open the doorway to England. Well, Parley P. Pratt goes on this mission to Canada. There he meets a group of people who join the church, and included in that group were the Fielding family, Joseph, Mary and Mercy, all English, all who'd emigrated to Canada, and all who now accepted the restored gospel and began to write to their family members who still lived back in England. One of them was a man called James, who had his own congregation in Preston, and he read the letters from America to his Preston congregation even before any missionaries turned up. And Heber was sitting in the Kirtland Temple when the prophet Joseph came up to him and said that something new must be done for the salvation of the church, and that was this mission to England. So 7 missionaries were selected, travelled from New York to Liverpool, went up to Preston, and there they met Reverend Fielding. And in his congregation they were able to preach 3 times, and the very first 9 baptisms came from that congregation. And so on that Sunday they went down to the River Ribble, and Heber records that between 7,000 to 9,000 people witnessed those first baptisms. That seems a huge number.
Good luck, my brother.
And 2 of them, 2 gentlemen, they wanted to be the very first baptism in Britain. One of them was George Watt, and they decided to have a foot race to the water's edge. And George arrived at the water's edge first, and so he had the privilege of being the very first baptism in the whole of Britain. And then Heber took all 9 of them. Heber C Kimball actually performed those first 9 baptisms, and they went down into the water in the River Ribble there, and they called us dippers, because we did baptism by full immersion. I don't think we can really overstate the significance of these British baptisms. From those very first 9 baptisms in 1837, we see the church grow all the way through our nation. By 1851, we have around 34,000 members here, and at the same time in the States, there was only 12,000. Then, of course, the call was to emigrate, and so we see these masons, these cotton workers, these farmers all go across to the States and help to build up the body of the church. And to do it not only physically, but also spiritually. We see great leaders like George Q. Cannon. We see the 3rd president of the church, John Taylor, come from those converts. But we also see them making a big contribution in terms of being the stonemason in Salt Lake Temple or St. George Temple. It's just a lovely contribution all the way around. And I really think when Joseph said to Heber C Kimball that this was for the salvation of the church, he recognised that these converts were really going to be like the lifeblood to the church in the States.
We're here today on the banks of the River Ribble because 175 years ago, Heber C Kimball baptised the first member into the church just up here behind me by the bridge. And we as church members today have decided to celebrate that fact by coming together, forming a large choir from 8 stakes and singing the songs that bring us close to Heber C Kimball and the people that were baptised at that time. We have come to celebrate together as a church from all over the United Kingdom to show each other how the church has grown since those days and how strong in the British Isles it is after that first one baptism.
So we're here in Avonham Park on the banks of the River Ribble in Preston tonight to celebrate the 175th anniversary of the arrival of the first missionaries in England. And the first baptisms that occurred here occurred in the River Ribble. And this being England and this being the summer, July, you'd expect we might get some sunshine. But in fact, in anticipation of what we expected, we have even waterproof Union flags to wave. We waved these flags when we sang Jerusalem, and we thought they'd better be waterproof because it is July and it is the summer. The connection between this place and the history of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is phenomenal. This town Preston is the home of the longest continuous unit of the church anywhere in the world. This connection between Preston and the global church is an incredible historic link. And when you think of those first missionaries coming here, arriving as they did in the July of 1837 and getting off the stagecoach from Liverpool, they just arrived in Liverpool, off the ship. They come to Preston, they get off the stagecoach, and the first thing they see is this banner. It's election day, or it's leading up to an election. There's electioneering going on, and they see this banner, and on the banner it has the words, "The truth will prevail." Truth will prevail, it says. And the missionaries in one voice say, "Amen, amen, amen." They expected the miraculous. And in the days and the weeks, the months and the years that followed in England and in Scotland and in Wales and in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, in fact, well, there wasn't a Northern Ireland then, of course, it was all Ireland, and all over Europe, there were miracles, miraculous conversions that brought, as Charles Dickens said in his work, The Uncommercial Traveller, on visiting a Mormon immigration ship, he said that these people were, in their own way, in their degree, the pick and flower of England. They were the pick and flower of many nations, and they gathered in their tens of thousands to the valleys of Salt Lake, to Utah, and from whence the church gathered strength, and from there the church now operates in nearly every nation on the earth. And it all begins, in my mind, here in Preston. It's a very English, it's a very British story.